April 2, 2023. Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 2. The 12th defeat of the Blues under Graham Potter is the end of the era of the English coach. 7 months. That is the total of Potter's time in office as Chelsea head coach, in a table with a 5-year contract signed in early September last year. This is certainly an unprecedented decision in the modern history of CFC, because even under the club's former owner, Roman Abramovich, with 16 coaches, Chelsea have never fired 2 different coaches in just 1 season. Many Chelsea fans celebrate with this decision, as they believe Potter deserves to leave after a string of poor results for Chelsea. Soon after, Chelsea appointed former manager as caretaker boss until end of season. Currently, 1 month since Chelsea sacked Graham Potter and appointed Lampard, CFC earns up to 1 point in Premier League. So was Chelsea wrong to not give Potter another chance? Find out with AG Chelsea TV in today's video content. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. When Chelsea sacked Thomas Tuchel and subsequently appointed Graham Potter, Burnley and Chelsea's leaders strongly believed that the English coach was the absolute right name for the development path. Chelsea paid £21.5 million to compensate Brighton for Potter and his coaching staff. Chelsea also pay Potter a salary of £12 million a year, 4 times the amount this coach received at Brighton, making him one of the 5 highest paid coaches in Europe. Potter, in the assessment of Burnley and associates of the Chelsea president, is seen as a risk-taker, and the type of manager who is very active in interacting with the club's board of directors, something entirely different with Tuchel. There were clear promises for Potter, including time and perks. Time for Potter to build and recreate a new version of Chelsea. The privilege of making decisions that carry the weight of the club's recruitment and transfer activities. In short, Burnley and Clearlake were initially willing to accept any worst possible outcome for Chelsea in Potter's first year. For Potter personally, going from Brighton to Chelsea is clearly a huge step forward. He is ready to take on the ultimate challenge at a club with a reputation for mercilessly sacking coaches like Chelsea. I've always been one of those people that likes to think about the word enjoyment, because the challenge is so intense that I think of course you have to enjoy these moments, Potter said. It's been very intense, very hard, very challenging, but at the moment, how grateful am I to experience this as well. Unfortunately, there was a sense the job was almost always close to the point of overwhelming him. Circumstances conspired to put him on the back foot from the outset of what looked like a nearly impossible situation, one that would be difficult to manage for any coach. On the day of his official unveiling, Queen Elizabeth II died, and the club postponed their proposed media conference in a show of respect. The subsequent round of Premier League games was cancelled as the nation entered a period of mourning. After a 1-1 draw against FC Salzburg in his first match, the vast majority of players departed for an international break. They returned for a run of 13 matches in 43 days before leaving again for the World Cup. This is not to excuse Chelsea's later poor run under Potter, but the absence of a full pre-season to work with his squad was keenly felt. So was the fact that this was a squad that was changing all the time, with 31 first-team players on the books by February 1st, following a huge January spending spree that took the overall Burnley-Clearlake era spending past £550 million. Despite all this, Potter started well with 5 consecutive wins after Salzburg, including home and away Champions League group stage victories over Serie A champions AC Milan. However, a humiliating 4-1 defeat to his former club Brighton at the end of October raised questions that increased with 3 subsequent defeats to Arsenal, Manchester City, exiting the Carabao Cup, and Newcastle United before the World Cup break. The hits kept coming. 6 games without a win across late January to the end of February raised pressure on a manager who by now had revealed that his family had received death threats while expressing concerns for his own mental health. At that time, Burnley and Iqbali were determined to give Potter time to succeed, and it appeared as though knocking out Dortmund to reach a Champions League quarter-final could be the turning point for Potter to finally begin forging a new path. The team's cyclical shortcomings returned, though the familiar pattern of Chelsea's failures began to reflect badly on the manager. The Blues would keep the ball, fail to score, and then concede soft goals. It happened time and again, with defeat to Aston Villa a classic case of what ailed the team: 27 shots, 8 on target, with an expected goals figure of 2.09 and 69% possession, but still they lost 2-0. No Chelsea manager in the last 30 years has won as low as Potter. And Potter's Chelsea is also the version of the Blues with the most losing frequency in the 21st century, more than 35%. The fact that Stamford Bridge is no longer the fortress of Chelsea's victory, since the team is led by Potter, also makes the disappointment and boredom in the Blues fan community increase day by day. The fact that Chelsea's new board of directors, from constantly affirming their support for Potter to firing this coach, in our opinion, stems from a wave of Potter out explosions. Burley and Clearlake, in their first year in charge of an English club, were clearly taken aback by the tremendous level of protest and anger from Chelsea fans as the team's situation worsened. They, in committing their faith and time to Potter, probably didn't plan or even underestimate these experiences. In the 7 months he worked at Chelsea, it was clear that the English coach had more difficulties than imagined. From the squad shuffle due to shopping strategies, injuries, poor form in attack and the lack of pre-season training to the impact of the World Cup that contributed to Potter's reign at Chelsea. At the present time, Chelsea under coach Frank Lampard has just experienced 6 consecutive defeats in the London derby against Arsenal. If you include his time in charge of Everton, Lampard has lost 14 of the last 15 matches as a coach. If Graham Potter's Chelsea had problems with the finish, Lampard's Chelsea had problems at all. From defense, attack and control the game. The Blues have World Cup winners, Champions League winners or even Premier League champions, but the result is their longest losing streak since 1993. Discretion and lack of motivation are what the Blues or Lampard's players performed in front of Arsenal. Lampard struggled to regain the shaky faith of Chelsea fans, and the English strategist decided to believe in Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Maybe it's better to play with a real 9 when other attacking players are literally failing to score. Noni Madueke, the only scorer in the defeat to Arsenal, did not have the opportunity to play. This is the inevitable consequence of a bloated and directionless squad. The English player has only had his first start since February. When Chelsea have nothing to lose, Lampard should give more opportunities to young players. It was also the best that Lampard could do.